Salapur, a quality engineer at Boeing, said he observed shortcuts taken by Boeing during the assembly of the plane.
The State Department has greenlighted an emergency $138 million in foreign military sales for Ukraine to provide critical repairs and spare parts for Hawk missile systems.
The announcement follows a similar small-sized round of $300 million in munitions.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Israel has not apprised the U.S. of any specific date for the start of a major offensive into the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Germany firmly rejected accusations brought against it in the World Court that it has aided Israel in perpetrating genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza.
German Foreign Office Legal Director General Tanja von Uslar-Gleichen was the first to speak in Berlin's defense.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee, and hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Oh, we did that, did we? All right, well, let's do this.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Oh, these headphones make me laugh. I think my head is expanding or something. I don't know. I just don't know. Should I know? I should probably pay attention to the expanding head thing. Apparently, nobody really gives a fuck about Neil Peart, by the way. Shameful. Good morning, folks. It is Thursday, April 11th, 2024. Kind of crappy day again here. A little rain, but you know what? Upon us all, a little rain must fall every once in a while. Listen, next week I'm going to be... next week is going to be a weird week because summer is just going to pop here. We're going to have a bunch of summer-like days. I'm going to be in a good mood, and Trump will be on trial. So there'll be a lot to talk about next week. The weather and Trump. That's all I really care about. Anyway, so that will be happening next week. Today, you can expect what I would probably describe as a clusterfuck of a show. In our first guest will be Anthony Shembri, who is a former police commissioner from New York, who has written several books, and I can't find a single one of them online anywhere to even show you a book cover. So that's going to be part of it. And then in the second hour, Mike Wilkerson, who GD know me, is the way he he approached me to be on the show. GD know me. And then with a follow-up, because GD told him to send a bio, he said, I'm also on a show. Now, he booked his appearance here for 10:15 because we do have a 9:15 guest. And then sometime around 6 o'clock this morning, he said, so 9 o'clock, right? So, if GD loses a friend over this, it's not my fault. It's just not my fault. You know me. I don't have a lot of patience with this kind of stuff, and I can be a bit of a curmudgeon and let's face it, a dick. I could be a dick to people when they just push my buttons a little bit. So I'm apologizing in advance if GD loses a friend over this. Now, we today in history, quite a day, but tomorrow's even a more significant day in history. But I'm looking at what happened today in history. A lot of stuff went on. I'm not going to go through it all. We perhaps we'll talk about it later if we get bored. But just looking at, generally you look at today in history. I don't know if you do. I mean, I haven't until recently, to be honest with you. But generally, there's like 4 or 5 little. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Today, there's probably about 300 things listed. Now, of course, tomorrow is the anniversary of Lincoln getting shot. I believe it was the April 12th when Lincoln got shot. Also, the Titanic stuff. So tomorrow's a big day in history. But today, things like Napoleon exiled to Elba, the Apollo 11 catastrophe, lots of stuff like that went on to first live radio broadcast. Interesting day. I guess a lot happens this week. Bob Dylan's first performance in New York City on April 11th, 1961. So, but the list goes on. Hundreds and hundreds of things happened on April 11th. But today will be remembered for the end of the Mind Dog Coffee with the Dog show because it's just going to be just a mess. We have a mess lined up for you today. And starting off that mess will probably be a guy who likes to point at his cup. This guy, oh wait, we got to change the background before we bring the other guys in. I can't have this sloppy background. What'd you do with my backgrounds, dude? Now, and this guy who's also looking to cause trouble, and this guy who's looking to cause trouble. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Has your life lost meaning since the eclipse passed and the world is still here?
Apocalypse.
Find new meaning at the Mind Dog TV Grift. Sorry, my bad. Mind Dog TV gift shop. MindDogTV.com. Enjoy the suffering.
It's like enjoy the suffering. I like that little tagline there. Is there a gift shop in most airports now? A little Mind Dog gift shop? Have we established that in airports yet? We have an airport correspondent. He doesn't correspond, but we have a official United States anyway airport correspondent.
Yeah, it's in a little closet in every Hudson News in an airport.
If any of you guys hear from our airport correspondent, just tell him I'm curious about what's going on with him. Does he have any plans to like crawl out of his hole and see his shadow? Or
I was talking to him last night. I'll let him know.
Yeah. So today I'm really and GD, I apologize in advance if you end up losing a friend over this. I just, I don't have.
I think the part of Kentucky that he's in, it would be 9 o'clock for him as opposed to 10.
All right.
So I sent him a text that said 10:15 Eastern.
Okay.
So that he would know that, yeah.
All right. Well,
but of course, I don't know that that's what he's thinking. I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, because Kentucky, I believe, is in Eastern time zone, right?
I believe
it's
Kentucky.
Wide. Isn't Kentucky wide? Like part of it is like in hell, and part of it's
kind of like, it's kind of like Indiana. It shares the Central and Eastern time zone a little bit.
Oh,
so there could be an hour difference. Yeah.
Now I don't know. Right. I don't know if he's in Eastern Kentucky or Western Kentucky. I don't know.
I still am not clear about what he does. And our first guest, who is patiently waiting, is already here in the green room. I could not find any of his book covers to show. So, I when it feels like this, it feels like I could go off the rails a little bit here today.
Perhaps. I just have a question. First of all, you said today's like the anniversary of like a disaster for the Apollo 11.
Yeah.
Did you mean Apollo 13?
Yeah, I meant the Apollo 13.
Because the 11 actually made it, and I'm thinking, what was the disaster?
Right.
It was all fake anyway.
The disaster was that it was fake. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to find out.
It was all fake. All fake.
Okay.
Yeah, and here's counting. And here's counting anyway.
As far as the book covers go, since he was in law enforcement, he may have been undercover, and that's why there are no covers.
Right.
True.
Oh, yeah, he's writing under the cover of a no-cover book. Right. Anyway, Yeah,
That
so
sounds-
you know what? I feel unprepared. Jackie says I always like to do my homework on in class, as it
Yes,
says.
in class.
You know what? I do a little bit of preparation for this show, and when I can't find anything, I get a little like, oh, where are we going to go with this? It could be trouble, but you never know. So yeah, but the day in history thing got me. Wow, there's an awful lot of things going on today. Now, today, do we have a list of what days today? I know it's Siblings Day, right?
Yes. Give me just a second here.
Do you guys have siblings? I know GD got killed all his siblings. There are no siblings left.
I'm the oldest of 4.
I'm an only child now.
I'm the youngest of 2, and I have
I'm
not
an only
killed
child
my
as
brother
well.
has been dying for 40 years, but he's still not dead, and he's in better shape than I am. So.
Okay, so here's what we got here: National Pet Day for you fur parents out there.
And is that rubbing or an animal?
What? I guess both.
Or rubbing your animal.
Could be both.
Well, I mean, realistically, yes, but it's a picture of a lady with a cat, so I'm assuming. Well,
again, is it rubbing or is it rubbing an animal?
There could be either way.
It's not Ava Gabor, is it?
A picture could be worth 1,000 words, but I'm sure 900 of those words are confusing.
Are you
She's
familiar
Asian.
with
It could be a
GD's
lady about to eat lunch. I don't know.
GD's Mandela effect story about the cat on the lap, but that's a whole other.
That's real. I have video of somebody saying it was real.
Somebody saying it was real. Okay. Go ahead.
Barbershop Quartet Day.
Finally.
Nice.
I know, right? Man.
We should do that. I could take the bass parts. What do we got here? Can we do?
I'm gonna sing bass.
Sweet Adeline or something. All right, forget it. That was a bad idea. That was a bad idea.
We would need Willie so that he could have he could sing the delay parts.
Right.
Dog Therapy Appreciation Day for those of you with depressed pooches.
Oh, thank you very much, because you just reminded me of a clip I need to pull out of last night's show about a guy talking about therapy dogs. But go ahead, thank you.
Wait a minute. Why would they be depressed if today is petting day?
Maybe they didn't know about. They don't have the full
do they not know?
They're not privy to Steven's insight into what day is today everywhere.
True. Global Day to End Child Sexual Abuse.
Again, on petting day.
Listen, I didn't pick this. I didn't do it.
So, all right.
International Louie Day.
Yeah, and only one day for that. Only one day to stop it. If we don't stop it today, then we got 360 more days. Enjoy the suffering.
All right, what else we got? What about weenies?
National Louie Day. International Louie Day. National Fondue Day.
Fondue.
National Clean Up Your Pantry Day. National 8-track Tape Day. I don't know what that is.
When you say national, so it's only U.S. Like people in other countries are not. We have a big.
It doesn't say which nation though. It could be a national or some other nation, right?
Right.
And did you say National 8-track Day?
Yeah.
8-track.
Okay.
This is an old. Steven never saw an 8-track in his life.
Yeah, this has to be third world country nation. Because
I saw a tape once in a museum. Okay, so.
Yeah, they have them in Billy Joel.
I'm waiting for National Reel to Reel Day.
National Parkinson's Day.
Wow.
That'll shake things up on the calendar.
For my mom.
You figure that'd be the same day as National Martini Day. National Poutine Day.
That's
got to be a Canada thing.
Tell your mom Happy Parkinson's Day.
Yeah, she'll be happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what this means, but National Ranch Water Day.
Ew.
The runoff for fresh water.
There's another 30 more, but
all right. Wow, another 30 more. Holy crap. It's like one of those days where everything in history. This day is celebrated in so many you know what?
Everybody woke up and said April 11th. Fuck yeah, let's do it, and then just did it.
Because you know what? 411 information.
You know
so
what?
we're gonna meet our first guest in just a minute. In video, I want to play the ad now. You want to say something bad about our sponsors before I play the commercial?
I'm not gonna say anything bad about them just because I don't know how to use it. It could be me. I just know that when I look for a help button, I couldn't find a help button. And I've watched the video and I just can't do the things I want to do. But just because I can't do the things I want to do doesn't mean that other people won't benefit from our sponsor.
All right, can I ask you what you want to do?
Sex with it.
What do you want to do?
No, no. I'd rather not try to explain it here.
Oh, okay.
But I have a script that I would like for it to animate, similar to what you did, where you had the guy talking over all the guy reading.
Oh, you need the voiceover.
I need the voicey thing and the head thing and the face guy thing and animation thing. But I have the script written.
All right.
Well, I put a trailer out there yesterday using it in video.
It gave me a slideshow. It gave me a fucking slideshow. If I wanted a slideshow, I'd have given myself
not
a
just a slideshow, a fucking slideshow.
Yeah, I can do my own slideshow. I'm a grown man. I know how to do a slideshow by myself.
By the way, because we are now getting ready to be syndicated on some terrestrial radio shows, I'm going to have to give them a significant, I think a 15-second delay, because we do throw in quite a few F-bombs on this show that they want to be really ready at any
15
moment.
15 seconds is good, I think, yeah.
Bleep us out. Which is, by the way, if you don't know, we also have an official newscaster on the program, Anthony. What's Anthony's last name? I think Edwards. Not Anthony Edwards. I'll get back to it. I should do my homework before class. I know that. But we have an official newscaster.
Anthony Casase?
Huh?
Anthony Casase?
Yeah, that's who it is. Anyway, In Video is sponsoring this program. If you're watching my YouTube channel grow like crazy and you're saying, wow, how's he doing that? It's with the help of products like In Video. That, except for people don't seem to be all that impressed with the Neil Peart thing I did yesterday. But other than that, In Video has been very good in helping grow the YouTube channel. If you have a YouTube,
been very good to me.
Been very good. Now, if you have a YouTube channel or a social media presence, and you want to increase your followers, increase your subscribers, views, all that kind of stuff, In Video is the product for you. Check it out.
Hey there, fellow content creators. Are you tired of seeing your YouTube channel growth at a snail's pace? Well, I've got some good news for you. InVideo is here to supercharge your channel growth. With InVideo, you can create eye-catching and engaging videos in a flash. Say goodbye to spending hours editing and perfecting your content. InVideo's user-friendly interface makes it a breeze to create professional-looking videos in no time. But that's not all. InVideo offers a treasure trove of customizable templates, so you can easily tailor your videos to your unique style and brand. Stand out from the crowd and leave a lasting impression on your viewers. And the best part, InVideo is not just a video editing tool, it's a one-stop shop for all your YouTube needs. From creating thumbnails to adding subtitles, InVideo has got you covered every step of the way. So what are you waiting for? Give your YouTube channel the boost it deserves with InVideo. Join the ranks of successful content creators who have used InVideo to skyrocket their channel growth. Trust me, you won't regret it.
Trust me, you won't regret it. Now, if you need help with that, I will be glad to help you. I'm not going to help GD, but I'll help anybody else. It's time to meet our first guest. Now, Anthony Shembri is a distinguished former police commissioner who brings a wealth of expertise to his thrilling crime novels, of which I can't find a single cover to show you, but we'll ask him. Maybe he's got them. He can show you. Just hold them up. With a background in the Homicide Bureau, forensic evidence, and leadership positions in law enforcement, Shembri's dynamic career and accolades, including an Innovation in Government award from Harvard, shape his captivating narrative. As a Fulbright scholar and author of books on criminal law and leadership, his masterful storytelling leaves readers caving more. One little quick fun fact, the show The Commish was based on his experience, and he's here now, except I got to do this. Good morning, Anthony Shembri. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for that. That introduction is so wonderful. I can't wait to hear what I have to say.
Yeah, me neither. Now, do you know why I can't find your books online? I can't find a single cover of them.
Okay.
A little bit over. Can you? Yeah.
Okay.
In Russia, a Brooklyn solution. Okay. Where now? I have a site here that your publisher sent me, which is a speaker site, but the book is not available there. Where is the book available on Amazon?
Amazon on May 6th.
Oh, that's why, because it's not out yet. That's why I can't get the cover.
It's not out.
Okay. In Brooklyn, a Russian solution. Now, Russian mob is has taken over from what my family used to be part of in Brooklyn. Is that part of this story? Is it a mob influence type of thing, or is it just a Russian citizen connection?
No, the way this book happened is I think interesting. When I was in law school, I got into an argument with one of the professors about whether it was too late to teach ethics to incoming lawyers. So I had been teaching at colleges for several years. I said, I could write a curriculum. So the professor said, well, why don't you do that and you'll satisfy the requirements? So I did, presented it to him about a month later. He said, fine. About a month after that, I got a call down to the dean's office. Why does the dean want to see me? So I went down. She says, we like the course. We're going to adopt it. I said, well, you don't need my permission. Go ahead. She said, well, we'd like you to teach it. I says, well, I haven't graduated yet. How can I? She said, no, you'll graduate in June. You'll come on to faculty in the fall. I said, okay. So made the front page of the Law Journal, and the Russians saw it and invited me to the Russian embassy. They wanted to put a Russian attaché in my class. I said, well, it's okay with me as long as the dean agrees. So this was 1989, about that time. Serial crime was just coming around the corner. I had an interest in it. So I said, do you have any serial crime in Russia? They said, yes. We just executed a man that killed about 40 children over a 5-year period. And he turned out to be the wrong guy.
Oh,
that's where my book begins. The search for the right guy. So when I left the embassy, I pulled over. I got a yellow pad. I created the plot and 4 main characters.
Okay.
Now I have a question
that's
right
how
off
the
the bat.
book came to be.
I have a question right off the bat. You said they killed the wrong guy. They executed the wrong guy. The state of Russia.
Yeah.
Did they kill the right children? I mean, whether those 40 kids, were they the right kids, or were they also the wrong ones?
You can disregard him.
Okay.
That's a terrible question.
He's GD.
If you want me to bounce him, I'll bounce him. Just say the word. We can get him off the show.
That's okay.
The Brooklyn Connect. Now, 1989 or so, right? This is the time when the Soviet Union is still in place. It's not just Russia, right?
Yes.
So that had to be a very difficult communication. I mean, the lines of communication weren't open. You couldn't just call up like the Russian embassy and say, I want to talk to a Russian cop, right?
Well, I got a grant to go to the Harvard Russian Research Center. And I hung out with some Russians and read some stuff about the Russians so that the book would have authenticity.
Right.
Okay. So that's how I was able to make the book authentic.
Okay. Now, in what I've read in the synopsis here, this is supposedly their first serial killer case in Russia. Now, is that literally their first case, or the first one they talked about, or first one we got information about? Because I find it hard to believe that the United States is alone in having crazy people that just like to kill.
Well, they first of all, they have no experience investigating serial crime, so they don't look at patterns. Okay, so something can happen in one part of Russia, be part of the same thing, but they don't look at it with a wide view. And so what we did was, what happens in the book is they decide they can't investigate this. They have to reach outside the country. So they find up, to make the story short, they go to the New York City Police Department. And the secretary, the premier, calls the secretary, the police commissioner in New York. Of course, he's delighted that his department was called upon to do something for another country. So he goes to see his chief of detectives. And he says, Chief, you have 4,500 detectives in your bureau. Who's the best serial crime guy you have? And the chief detective says, I know I'm going to regret this, but Lieutenant Anthony McGalley. Why? He says, because we're going to send him to Russia to help them solve a serial crime. The chief of detectives looks at the ceiling and he goes, heaven help the Russians. So that's how it begins. And of course, interwoven in that is some of the cases that I had. The Crackerjack case, the case where a bishop killed two girls and he chopped them up. And I took the bones to the Smithsonian. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, we can see it.
This,
now, what is that case? Is a bishop killed somebody and chopped them up into pieces? A Catholic bishop?
No. He was a bishop. He became himself a bishop. For $50, you become a bishop. For $100, you could become the Pope. So that was the type of bishop he was. And he took them down to the basement and he killed them and cut them up. When I got to the basement, I moved the bureau drawer, found a piece of skin, and the lab does what they call it again, a bonucleus test, so they can find out if they're male or female skin. If you're looking for females, you find female skin, strong circumstantial evidence. So I said to the guy from the lab, I said, okay, I want to take the floor out of here because I know what a jury likes. So I said, let's roll it into the courtroom. So the guy from the lab says, you mean a picture of the floor? No. You know those machines on the corner that go, trrr? I says, yeah, well, get me a machine that goes, trrr. So we cut it out. So he says to me, okay, now how are we going to get it out of here? I says, well, take the wall down. He says, can you do that? I says, I'm in charge. It's a crime scene. Are you kidding? Take the wall down. So we took the wall down and, months later, we rolled it into the courtroom on a dolly. And I put cardboard in the wheels so it would move slowly past the jury. And I thought one of the jurors said, holy shit. So I felt good about the evidence we brought in.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, I have a more serious question, not like the other one, the real one. You called this the Crackerjack case. Who names the cases? Who's in charge of naming the cases?
No, there's
the press, right?
I just gave it so I'll know which case you're talking about. We had a case in Brooklyn where 5 children were killed, and they all had nuts in their stomach. So they're all different parts of Brooklyn. So I said, gee, that doesn't make... I said, get the nuts together and send them to the lab. So I called the lab and I said, what do you got? He said, they're nuts. I said, I know they're nuts. I sent you the nuts. He says, well, that's all we can tell you. He said, we could send it to the FBI. So I said, okay, send it to the FBI and let's see what they tell me. About a week later, I called the FBI. I said, what do you got? He said, they're nuts. I said, I know they're nuts. I sent them to you. He says, well, no, the best thing I can do for you, we got an expert at the Department of Agriculture. I said, okay, send it to him. Have him call me. I can't get this guy on the phone. 2 weeks later, I jump on a plane. I go to I find him in this building. You had to see this guy. This is the world's expert on nuts. His garbage pan is a big pistachio nut. Okay? I mean, he's got pictures of nuts all over his office. He gets
about nuts.
I mean, if you were going to cast a role for this, the world's expert, this is him. I says, look, I'm looking for clues here. I got 5 kids that are murdered. He says, well, I didn't know that. Blah, blah, blah. He says, these nuts are 5% riboflavin, 10% ash. Nah. I don't know what they're made of. I need to know about the nuts. He says, well, These are cheap filler nuts that would be used in confectionery. I said, like what? He says, like Cracker Jacks. We get a suspect under the driver's seat, half-eaten box of Cracker Jacks. He'd pull up to a kid, roll down the passenger's window, stick his hand out there, say, would you like some Cracker Jacks? Kid would put his arm in, he'd grab his arm, pull him in the window, drive him away.
Wow.
So I called it my Cracker Jack case.
Yeah, the Cracker Jack. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you know, I guess he was taking a cue from the old Candyman stories that we heard when we were a little kid. You know, that's the way to abduct kids is offer them candy.
I got a question.
Yeah,
is that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, is that usually how you find somebody? Because after everything you look at, it's usually just something mundane and just something so little, like you're just saying, like either Cracker Jacks or even like a gum the person was chewing.
Well, you have to be detailed. You have to look for details. And believe it or not, the forensic people could be your best friend or your worst friend. I had a guy go to a bar. The bar closed early. He drank with some people. The bar closed early. They asked him to come home to drink some more. They took him home. He killed the both of them, and he stole their television set. And he put it on a bicycle, and he's going through the alleys of Brooklyn, and a cop pulls him over, you know, at 2:00 in the morning with a television on your bicycle. We call that a clue in Brooklyn. Anyway, we get I wanted to get the fingerprints off the back of the TV set to place it in the apartment, you know, because you moved the television set. So the forensic guy shows up. He said, what do you want? He said, get me some prints out of that apartment. He throws some dust around. He says, I can't find anything. I put my arm around his neck a little, and I walk him towards the entrance of the apartment. And I said, these people lived in this apartment for 32 years. You think they were wearing gloves? I push him in the apartment. I said, you're not coming out unless you're coming out with some prints. So he calls the chief of detectives. He wants me arrested for kidnapping.
Well, thank you for educating our audience on technical terminology. A clue. Thank you, because we couldn't. Now, when were you commissioned? Because you're talking about getting out of law school in 1989. I thought you were commissioner at that time. So you got. Oh, you were already commissioner when you went.
I was police commissioner. I was going to law school at night. It was, you know, pretty hard to do.
Right, really. So how did the ABC or whoever was behind the commish decide to get involved with and do a show based on your experience?
I met Sylvester Stallone, and he heard about a case I had. He had just finished the Boom Boom Mancini story, and he wanted to put this case on TV. His interest waned, and the rights returned to me and this Hollywood writer who went to work for Stephen Cannell. So they invited me to Hollywood to meet with him. I told some stories. They did a TV series called Wise Guy.
Right, I remember that one.
And I became technical advisor for Wise Guy.
Oh, very cool.
So I had to be careful with the ethics. I couldn't do this during daytime hours to mix being a police commissioner and being a technical advisor, because I was getting paid. So they couldn't contact me unless I was home, so that the ethics was clean. And so they invited me, and I told Tony Shembri stories. So then he came to New York, and I invited a bunch of detectives who told Tony Shembri stories. I couldn't remember half of them. The first one was when I was in 506B in the criminal court squad. A guy came into my office, and it was a slow day. He said, how do you get to the top of the building? I said, what do you want on top of the building for? He said, I want to jump off. So, you know,
no.
A guy that wants to kill himself, homicide don't mean much. My gun was locked up in a drawer, and it was obvious he had mental problems. I says, okay. I said, do you have a permit to jump off the building? he said no. I says, you can get in trouble for jumping off the building because this is a city building. He said, well, how would I get one? I said, well, I'll give you a note to the doctor. And I wrote down, my office was so cheap, we didn't have stationery with our name on it. We had a rubber stamp. So I stamped a pad with my name on it. And I said, issue one roof jumping permit to bearer. So he said, well, how would I get there? I says, if you don't mind, there's a police car going there in a few minutes. I can save your bus fare. So I get two guys in uniform. I said, you see the guy in the corner? Yeah. Don't cuff him. He's a psycho. Bring him to KCH. Okay. About an hour later, I get a call from this doctor who says, are you Shembri? I said, yes. He says, you want me to issue this man a roof jumping permit? I said, no. He's suicidal. He said, oh, you want me to keep him? I said, yeah, that's a good idea. I want you to keep him. And keep him on the first floor. Keep him on the first floor.
Unbelievable.
So, you know, that building, Kings County Hospital, one day I get a flat tire outside the mental health institution, Kings County Hospital. It's a hot day, and I say to myself, oh, damn it, that's just great. So I jack up the car, I put the nuts or the bolts, whatever they are, in the hubcap. When I stand up, I hit the hubcap, all the nuts go into the sewer. So I says, oh, great, you know, real loud. And the guy taps on the window and he says, mister, take a nut off the other car, off the other wheels, put it on that wheel. That'll get you to the gas station. You know, I can't believe I didn't think of that. I says, that's terrific. How come you're in there? He says, I'm here because I'm crazy, not stupid. There's always a good fun at Kings County Hospital.
Priceless stuff. Now, Michael Chiklis played you. I guess he played you, right?
Yeah,
on the show. Did you get to know him at all?
Oh yeah. I went up to Canada where we shot, and you know, where they shot some scenes. The first episode, we did the guy jumping off the building.
Wow.
That was they loved it. To me, it was another day in 506B.
Right. Now, he was on Twitter this morning, and I just coincidentally, I saw him on Twitter. I was reading some of the stuff, but I gotta, because when your publicist first told me about you, I thought, oh, commish, that's Michael Chiklis. And then I thought, because he was on two cop shows, one right after the commish. The second one, he was a corrupt cop. And when she said it was based on your life, I'm like, you want me to, because I not that I wouldn't, I would love to talk to a corrupt cop, somebody who got involved in that. But the idea was I confused that for your life, and then I was thinking, does that happen often? People hear like you were part of the commission, they connect that Chiklis thing, and then think, oh, you're the bad cop he played on television.
No, but they know he did two cop shows, The Shield and the Commission. Of course, they were opposites.
Right.
The personalities were opposite.
Yeah,
Here's a
totally.
guy, we hang out together, and I told stories, and he's just a terrific guy.
Yeah. Now, when you were a commissioner, was there a Russian mob in Brooklyn and Sheepshead Bay?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
in Odessa.
Yeah,
in Odessa.
And that was because up until, I guess, you were already active. You had to be already active, at least as a detective, when Gotti stuff was going down. How did the Russian mob infiltrate Brooklyn, and how did that go down, replacing the old Cosa Nostra or whatever we want to call it?
No, I don't think they replaced it. I think they all had their own thing. And when they came together for issues, it benefited both of them.
Okay. Now, you were obviously active during the Rudy Giuliani administration. Did you know him?
Well, he appointed me corrections commissioner. I ran Rikers Island and the jail system in New York.
Yikes! Now, for people who don't know,
I had 21,000 inmates, 14,000 officers, and the officers gave me more problems than the inmates.
I'm not surprised about that. But describe for people who don't know, because New Yorkers know Rikers Island, and some people know people who were in Rikers Island. I happen to know a couple of people who were held there. It's one of the craziest holding facilities in the world, pretrial. Can you just explain a little bit about what that is for people who aren't familiar?
Well, Rikers Island, there's 11 institutions on Rikers Island. One is a sentence institution under a year. There's the Women's House, the Juvenile House, the Mental Health Association Institute. So there's different houses for different things. We probably have the largest mental institution there because people commit crimes and the judge wants them examined. And we have the largest tuberculosis unit. We have the cells. We have over 100 tuberculosis cells, and they cost about $400,000 each. I mean, I didn't do that. I found that when I was there.
Right.
But, we had tremendous success with, when you get arrested, you get tested for tuberculosis.
Right.
Okay. And so if we find out you have tuberculosis, then you go to this institution where we have 100 cells, and each cell is contained. It's got air circulating 24 hours a day. All of the officers are dressed in medical garb, so to speak.
So it would seem that you're better off having tuberculosis because you get a private cell out of it.
Yeah. Well, it's we don't want the officers to get contaminated.
Yeah.
Now, I had a question real quick. Weisselberg is in Rikers now for 5 months for perjury. Isn't that where he is, Rikers?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So when I heard you mention the different sections. So one, perjury, is that considered a white collar crime? Would he be, is that like a separate unit for like white collar?
No, he goes into, there's one sentence institution on Rikers Island. If you get sentenced under a year, you go to Rikers Island. Over a year, you go to the state facility.
Okay. And now what I'm told that Rikers, and I don't know if it was the case when you were active, is that Rikers Island there's a shortage of space it's overpopulated. It's just too many people for the cells.
Yeah, it's overpopulated, but there's only about 5,000 inmates. When I was there, we had 21,000. We brought 2 barges from Sweden, and we brought them in and attached them to Rikers Island. So we had 21,000.
Yeah, so that's like 4 to a cell or 5 to a cell or something like that. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible.
Right.
You got to remember that the first thing we do is protect inmates from each other.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. If I put 500 chefs in a building, what would they do? Well, they cook for each other. They share recipes. They do tastings. If I put 500 violent people in a building, what do you think they would do? They beat the hell out of each other. They burglarize each other's cells. They sexually assault people. They steal. They break things. They make knives.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine. It's got to be like insanity, just trying to keep them from killing each other.
And then feeding them. We serve 68,000 meals a day.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So when I got there, my first problem was one of the ovens was broken. I'm a criminologist. I'm in policing 50 years. what do I know about ovens?
Right. Ovens to feed mass populations. And we're not talking about like an oven in your kitchen, like a gigantic oven. But now coming back to tying this into the novel, because they executed the wrong guy in Russia, like the idea of getting the wrong guy in prison for or even sent to Rikers, awaiting trial or any of that kind of stuff. How often do you think that happens where they get the wrong guy?
Well, Yale had an innocence project. Okay, they freed about 98 people. Okay, a lot of them were death sentence cases. As a matter of fact, I witnessed an execution several years ago, and I wrote an article about it because a lot of my students are interested in. I teach in the police academy. The cops are in favor of the death penalty. In college, the students are not interested in the death penalty. So I thought if I witnessed an execution, I'd give my class a different kind of cachet, because it's a rare person that actually witnesses an execution. And so I did, and I wrote an article about it. That was here in Florida.
So does this affect your position on the death penalty, having known that people have gone to their death undeservingly?
Well, I have, like watching your mother-in-law have an accident in your new car. I have mixed feelings.
Yeah.
So and I put that in the article too.
Yeah.
Like I said in the article, it's when I'm leaving the execution, I meet a man who landed from Mars in a spaceship. And I go over to the fence and I welcome him. And he says, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "I'm coming from witnessing an execution." And the man says, "What's an execution?" I says, "That's where we kill people who kill people to show that it's wrong to kill
people." Right.
So anyway, I use that.
A guy who should be on the show, but is no longer on the show, says he was in, or might be coming back someday, but we don't know. I was in with a guy that was exonerated after 7 years inside. He lives a successful life today. So yeah, that's always a possibility. And there was a case that I interviewed a guy. He was 16 years old, a high school student. They found a girl raped and murdered in a park. The police decided, because he had a weird personality, he was shy, I guess he had some learning disabilities, that he was a student high that deserved to be a suspect. They took him, they browbeat him, they brought him in, they gave him, overdosed him on caffeine and coffee, held him for more than 24 hours without his parents even knowing where he was, and browbeat him into a confession. It turned out after 16 years in prison, DNA proved that he wasn't. It wasn't him. He had nothing to do with the case, and he really didn't fit at all. The specifics of the case. The girl was stronger than him. He was a weak, frail little kid, but spent 16 years of his life, and he was part of this innocent project type of thing. And there's no recourse. You can't get that time back. So that happens a lot. And that's my concern with the death penalty is we got to be, if you're going to do it at all, you better be damn sure that, and
nobody's going to miss them.
Yeah, nobody's going to miss them.
I've heard these horror stories I've heard over and over again. Cops can get around any Supreme Court decision. When the lineup came to be, where you had, for purposes of identification, there had to be a lineup.
Right.
So in one Texas police department, they put the suspect under an arrow. So when the witness looked through the two-way mirror, the detective said Does anybody look familiar? Yes, it's the man under the arrow.
Shh, don't mention the arrow. Funny stuff. So yeah, now is this your first novel? Or
no, I wrote 4 books: one on leadership, one on criminal law, and one on law enforcement, and one on corrections. But those were textbooks.
Right.
This is my first journey into a novel. But I was able to put funny stories into the book, and make them have a reason to be in the book. They're like the Russian detective, and the dialogue. I'll tell you, some of the dialogue when I was writing it made me laugh. when McGalley, who's a lieutenant, comes to Russia, he's picked up by his partner, Vladdy, and he picks him up, and they get into the car, and he's driving him. He says, "How long have you been a Russian policeman?" He says, "I'm not a policeman. I'm militia. We don't have policemen." Lenin didn't like the word police. We're militia. He said, "I've been doing this 40 years. And McGalley says, "Is this the same car you started with?"
Today that's not. It's funny in that regard, but today people drive 40-year-old cars now, and it's like I see them on the street all the time. Like people driving 40 and 50-year-old cars. I guess it was it's becoming more common, and cars last. They used to say 100,000 miles. Now I have cars with 400,000 miles on it. It's crazy.
Yep.
The serial killing stuff. New York have a fair share because I'm on Long Island, and it seems like we are. I don't know. We have a breeding ground for serial killers. We have a lot of them here. New York City have a lot of serial killing or serial killer cases when you were on.
Yes, you're on Long Island.
Yeah,
I almost became the police commissioner in Suffolk.
Oh, well, that's where I am. I'm in Suffolk. The police commissioner, as you know, went to jail. Probably no. For his connection or things to do with a serial killer case, with the Long Island serial killer case that's now covering it up and not cooperating with the FBI and all that kind of stuff. Do you know anything about that case?
No, not really.
Okay.
Interview's over. That's why we got you. That's why you're here. Interview's over.
Bring them in, boys. No.
what they say, at least in Vegas, my father was a big time gambler, and he used to tell me if you ask somebody a question and they answer it, and the first move is to touch their head or their face, that means they don't want to tell you. They just
no. There's so many. Who remembers them anymore?
Yeah.
I remember the ones I'm associated with.
Okay.
Some of them I read in the paper. Some I remember, some I don't.
Were you active during the Son of Sam stuff?
Oh yeah, I transported Son of Sam.
Son of Sam, David Berkowitz.
Yeah, well, I didn't transport him. I made sure that they couldn't get pictures of him. We had just as many. I was the inspector general of the correction department at that time.
Right.
And the New York Post got
Sam
a picture of Son of Sam sleeping.
Right.
And the commissioner called me in and was really pissed and said, "I wouldn't want to see that again." So anyway, we had the inspector general's office now had to accompany the transportation of Son of Sam. We had more people who wanted to get his autograph than wanted to kill him.
Yeah, bizarre stuff, man. People,
bizarre stuff.
People have a weird, lots of criminals, murderers, and serial killers, all this kind of rapists, whatever. They tend to put them like in a celebrity status and become fans of theirs. And that stuff really makes no sense to me at all. But
it's because they're letting their dark side out. We all have a dark side. Most of us contain it, and some people want their. It's like a vicarious thrill. It's like, you represent my dark side. Bless
Evil.
You, sir.
Yeah. Now, you called David Berkowitz the Son of Sam. I'm just curious. Do you think that because Michael Carr and Peter Carr were his associates. They were truly sons of Sam. Do you think anybody else was involved in those that series of killings?
I don't know. I don't remember. I know that the killings stopped when he was incarcerated. That's one of the ways you tell if you got the right guy.
Yeah. Okay. Now, during those, when did you stop being active?
Well,
when did you retire?
I teach now in England at Oxford, at Sheffield Hallam University, and so I do leadership seminars over there, and I go for sometimes a week, sometimes 45 days. It depends on when they want to bring me in. Wow. I love teaching over there. I love the students. They make fun at my Brooklyn accent. I tell them, you have an accent.
I don't hear any accent. Do you guys hear an accent? It all sounds all normal to me. My family's from Brooklyn, so I wouldn't hear a Brooklyn accent. But these guys are not from here, so they wouldn't hear it.
I love the accent. I can't. That's why I'm not talking. I just like listening to it. It's.
What do you teach? You teach criminology? You teach?
I teach criminal law. I teach leadership for middle managers and leaders of police departments over there. I do seminars for them.
Right.
And I like it over there. I like policing over there. Two guys have an accident and they buy each other tea. Over here, two guys have an accident. They pull out guns.
Yeah.
The accident is a murder.
Right. Are you still in New York?
I'm in Sarasota.
Oh,
Florida.
Beautiful. Good for you. Like, I think it's mandatory that once you reach a certain age in New York, you have to move to Florida, right?
Well, I'm still looking around. I would love to take over a department again, but I'm too old. I'm 81.
Wow! Congratulations.
Who's going to appoint an 81-year-old chief of police?
I don't know.
You need to run for president. That way, I'm just saying, just run for president, and then once you win,
you're not old enough to run for president. I think you have to be 85 now to run.
I mean, in 4 years, run for president, and then you can appoint yourself head of the Justice Department, and then you can appoint yourself to a precinct.
I get a call from a headhunter. He says, Anthony, I'm looking at your resume. There's no dates on your resume. I says, yeah. He says, why is there no? I said, well, I'm trying to hide my age. He said, well, how do you handle that? I says, I have a police report from England with me being mugged and coming out of Chinatown recently. And we took him to the hospital. And I went in the ambulance with him, and I have a list of his injuries that are on the police report. So when they say, what's your age? I give them the police report and the injuries of a man who tried to mug me.
Right, there you go.
Hell yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Now, hold up the book again, because I'm it's Brooklyn. It's over here. Yeah, in Russia, A Brooklyn Solution. Very, very cool stuff. And it comes out May 6th, you said?
Yes, May 6th. You'll see a
hold still, because I'm having trouble reading that.
Yeah, of course you're going to have trouble.
Just keep talking while I read. Go ahead.
Okay. There's a quote there from the chief of homicide of Scotland Yard.
An exhilarating read with an authenticity that only comes from a who lived and breathed their subject. From an author who lived and breathed their subject.
Well, anyway, we wish you great success with the book. Now, are you going to be doing like book signings and that kind? Are you going on like a publicity tour for the book, or?
Yes, they're setting that up. Look, it's a first for me, so whatever they say, I'll do. I'm hoping we do a movie out of this.
That's what I was going to say.
That's what I was going to ask about, because that would be amazing.
Can you get?
You know who would play a great Russian detective?
Me, I would.
Topol. Topol. You remember Topol?
Yeah, is he even still alive? Because he would be.
No, he died. He died.
Yeah.
Well, now can I have the job?
What?
Now can I have the job? Your first choice is dead.
You look a little, I don't know, short to be a Russian.
Look, they have black Russians. I hear it all the time in bars.
Yeah,
and they're very popular.
Hey, you're a good crew. I appreciate having a chance to chat with you guys.
Yeah, please do come back. You know, if you have the opportunity to come back, please do. I mean, especially around the time of the book launch, it would definitely help bump it up again. So,
well, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
I got one quick question.
Go ahead.
How disappointed were you? How disappointed were you when you found out that it was going to be Michael Chiklis playing the commissioner and not George Clooney?
Well, no, they didn't want a handsome guy with wonderful teeth. They wanted a street kind of a guy that looks like he's twirling pizza pies.
Yeah.
You would never, once I said to a woman, I said, I'm Anthony Shembri, I'm the police commissioner. She says, you don't look like a police commissioner. I says, I'm wearing a disguise. I mean, what does a police commissioner look like? So anyway, they wanted a guy that not Mr. Wonderful and Mr. Handsome.
All right. For people who want to find out more about you, then go to premierspeakers.com/Anthony-Shembri.
Oh, you would like that speech I gave with your sense of humor. You would like that speech.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed listening to you today. I think you're a very funny guy, and I don't know if stand-up comedy is in your future at 81, but I mean, you made me laugh, and I thank you for being here as part of
my pleasure. Goodbye, y'all.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Anthony Shembri, folks. Interesting stuff there. Yeah, the Russian connection. It's funny. You know anything about the lawyer?
You made him squirm, Matt. You made him squirm.
I know. It's not often that I get a cop on the defensive. So that's a first for me. Anyway,
I legit when he was explaining that, I just want to see it as a movie. The whole thing, it would be great.
Yeah. I think Clooney was a kid at the time that the commission was made. I don't know about that, but I think he was. We're talking like late 80s, right? 89, 90.
He was in his 20s, or he was in his 20s by then, right?
Yeah, 20s or 30s, I bet.
Really?
Yeah.
When was he in? Was he in ER? Was that him in ER?
Yeah,
he was in ER, but he was already turning gray then.
Because I remember him as he was on the Facts of Life. Remember Back to the Future kid, Michael J. Fox. That show when he was a kid, Clooney was on that show. He played Mallory's boyfriend, Nick. Hey, Nick, yeah. So he was a kid. He was a teenager then. So I don't know, or played a teenager. He might have been in his 20s playing a teenager. That happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was an interesting little segment there. I like that segment. Anyway.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed that there are some classic jokes that he took the classic jokes and interwove them into like actual dialogue, so that the dialogue got replaced by the joke, but he interwove them. Because there's some of the things he was talking. I said, I know this joke, and he's talking. I go, okay, that is boom.
Interwoven. You don't really come out with. You don't open up. I'm just a little info for you. You don't open up in a cop discussion with jokes about dead babies or dead kids. I mean, what do you think?
House was not supposed to ask that question.
You weren't supposed to ask that question. Did they have the right dead kids?
Okay, then, Ron, were you going to ask that question?
No, I would have given you the showstopper of the word today.
Steven, were you going to ask that question?
Not even a little
I'm
bit.
telling you, my fans wanted that question asked.
I don't think anybody in the world wanted to know if he killed the right kids.
I think the parents would want to know.
Now, he did say the number, right? Like 40 kids or something?
I think
is that the one that they made a movie out of in Russia? Not in Russia. They made a movie about, they called the first serial killer, and it was a Russian. trying to think.
We need some type of a some kind of sounder, so when somebody stops the show, in this case GD is like,
I need, definitely need a wah, something like that. Anyway.
I thought it went well.
Oh no, it went well after I threatened to throw you off the show to say
after we put the train back on the tracks.
I didn't even get the chance to ask him about Beretta.
What about Beretta?
Oh, because remember when he did Beretta, which was based on the life of, I forgot the cop.
Anthony, what the hell,
Scorsese, right? So they make they made so many changes that they replaced his family with a parrot, not a parrot, a cockatoo, and stuff like that. So I was just wondering from him,
it was just one cock.
Well, I'm sure there was more than one cock in the movie. They just showed the one.
Well, you said cockatoo.
Was it cockatiel?
It was just one cock.
Oh, okay. So they replaced the whole family with that one bird, and he was like really upset about that for like the rest of his life. And I was just wondering if when they did this, was there some things she's going like, well, I have a dog. You're not going to replace my dog with a cat, or stuff like that. Things that they replaced for dramatic purposes.
Okay, so David Toma was the cop that show was based on. Now, I did not know this, that ABC had a show before Beretta that was based on the same cop played by Tony Musanti, but it was called, what was it called? It was just called Toma. But I guess
that show,
that show was a kind of a flop, and then they did the one with Robert Blake where he played Beretta, who was based on the same cop. Anyway, I did not know that, but how many people who played cops on television ended up with their wife getting killed and they being the prime suspect of it? Probably just one, right?
Yeah. Probably just one, yeah.
And he got off on that. He didn't. He was found not guilty.
Oh,
so he ruined it for all the other cops with TV show or actors that wanted to kill their wives.
And that was around, I think it was around the time of the OJ stuff, so it didn't get as much press, but it seemed like everybody in America assumed he was guilty, and probably the evidence made it really hard. He was having problems with the wife. He left his gun in the car. Oh no, he gave his gun to the bartender or something, went out to check on his wife or go back in to get his gun. He went. This is the story now. They left. They were finished playing, but he had given the bartender his gun when he sat down to eat dinner. They left, and then he got out to the car and said, "Oh, I forgot my gun." She gets in the car. He goes back in the restaurant to get his gun. Comes out, and she's been killed. And it just makes your head spin. He got found not guilty. I guess they couldn't find any direct linkage to him actually pulling the trigger on that, but it's a very weird story. I mean, no matter how you look at it, she was blackmailing him at the time or something. I don't remember all the details. It's so foggy. But for him to be found guilty, not guilty, I think it kind of rattled people. But again, it was right on the heels of the OJ thing, and the people were still upset about that. So it didn't get.
When was the guy? The guy who created the Wall of Sound? What's his name? Phil Silvers. Phil Spector. Phil Spector. When was that? Was that how?
Phil Spector. That's a good. I think it's around the same time. Phil Spector. It's terrible that I don't remember the lady that he killed. Her name. Yeah, he looks like her now. Phil Spector. I got to go to Wikipedia and find all the crime stuff. Where's the crime stuff?
So Stephen, while he's Googling,
I'm Googling. I'm doing my homework in class again.
He's doing his homework in class. When is this thing that you're doing with the Willie that's missing?
June 7th and June 8th.
Why? He said that without his lips moving. Did you see that?
Yeah. And Ron, when are you going to be in Albuquerque?
I will officially be in Albuquerque June 6th because I have a show June 8th.
Have you been there before?
Yeah, my wife's got family out in New Mexico.
ABQ in the 505, as they used to say. I think they actually have a second area code now. February 3rd, 2003, the Phil Spector thing. It's more recent than any of that crap. So yeah.
I just see a pattern of that week of June. Now I feel like I need to do something that week. Because I'm sure Matt's performing at some orphanage for veterans who've
orphanage for
week in June. Hold on, I do have show. I mean, this is my busy time of year. I'm such a different person from this part of moving forward till September. I'm going to be a completely different guy. I have
happier, less grumpy, with the sunshine on your skin.
Sunshine and gigs outdoors, playing on the beaches. I mentioned because yesterday I had a clandestine meeting with Surfer Phil. It was like a drug deal, but it was to get cat food because he saw on Facebook I've been posting all this stuff where I'm feeding feral cats. He said I have 2 cases of Fancy Feast, so I met up in a parking lot with him to do a Fancy Feast deal, and we were talking about the gigs at the beaches, and I'm always looking out and thinking, wow, look at all these old people. And then I realized they're like 5 or 6 years younger than me. All these people that I'm looking at look at, wow, there's a lot of old people here. Our crowd has gotten gray before their time, and just really, because we were watching a bunch of people like coming out, walkers and all that kind of stuff. It was like, look at all these old people, and I was like, you know what? I bet that guy's like younger than us.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you are performing on June that weekend?
Yes, every weekend in June. Actually, from Thursday to Sunday, I have gigs.
Okay, I'm feeling okay. This is for my fans out there, guys. I'm feeling left out. I'm the only member of the show. Even Willie is performing that weekend. Somebody find me a fucking gig so I won't be left out. Otherwise,
I thought you didn't want a gig that much.
I would like one a month. I would like one headlining gig a month. Okay, 12 a year. Is that too much to ask?
One headlining gig. Oh, look at you, Mr. Prima Donna. I'm a headliner. I don't take feature spots.
That's not prima donna-ing. That's me knowing that I have, knowing my strengths. Okay, I suck at the 4-minute, 5-minute, 7-minute mark. I start to pick up steam around 90, 95, 100 minutes. That's when I start getting funny. So I need a lot of time. It takes me a while to build it up.
Well, maybe you and Anthony Shembri could do a little, I don't know.
Recreate some of the pullovers he's done.
What I'm afraid of is that at some point he'll have like a flashback and just arrest me out of reflex.
Well,
so, okay.
You are black.
He has a son who is now like a criminal, criminal lawyer, not a criminal lawyer, a prosecutor or something like that, Anthony Shembri Jr. So he might come to the show and then have you locked up. There's always
that's a possibility. So fans, get me booked for that weekend, okay? It's up to you guys.
I don't think that this was supposed to work this way, where you count on your fans to get you the gigs. I think you get the gigs.
That's how that works. Apparently you don't know anything about business, Matt. Okay, that's exactly how it works. Fans, see, you're working on the old model. The new model is the fans drive the booking. They can like walk up to clubs and say, "Excuse me, we'd like to see GD Fenderson," and if enough fans do that, I will be there.
All right. Well, let's take a short break if you don't mind. If you don't mind, even if you do mind. Let's take a short break for a news break because you just mentioned business, and I do have to take care of it. This is a business partnership we are in now. We have a news guy who is doing newscasts just for this program, and meanwhile we are waiting on Michael Wilkerson, who GD know me and is on the show. And we're going to talk about something related to music, but I can grab a fresh cup of coffee while we get some quick updates on the headlines today.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Israel has not apprised the U.S. of any specific date for the start of a major offensive into the southern Gaza city of Rafah.
Blinken spoke a day after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu vowed that a date has been set to invade Rafah. The United States, Israel's closest ally, says a ground operation into Rafah would be a mistake and has demanded to see a credible plan to protect civilians. Joseph Eckerson reporting.
The State Department has greenlighted an emergency $138 million in foreign military sales for Ukraine to provide critical repairs and spare parts for Hawk missile systems.
The announcement follows a similar small-sized round of $300 million in munitions, support the Pentagon announced last month, after it was able to convert contract savings to be able to offset the cost of providing the aid. Both the State and Defense Departments have been looking for ways to continue to get Ukraine support. Benjamin Wright reporting.
The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating a Boeing engineer's allegations that assembly defects in the company's 787 Dreamliner raise safety concerns.
Sam Salapur, a quality engineer at Boeing, said he observed shortcuts taken by Boeing during the assembly of the plane, resulting in drilling debris left in interfaces and deformation of composite material. He also claims to have observed issues with the 777 assembly process. Liam White reported.
Germany firmly rejected accusations brought against it in the World Court that it has aided Israel in perpetrating genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza.
German Foreign Office Legal Director General Tanja von Uslar-Gleichen was the first to speak in Berlin's defense during the second and final day of hearings in The Hague concerning charges brought against the European nation of violating international humanitarian law amid Israel's war against Iran-backed Hamas in Gaza. Lawrence Keller reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
An Oklahoma judge ordered a Kansas City Chiefs superfan
known
as
news.
Chiefsaholic who admitted.
I like that.
So,
don't you ever want to tell the news guy to shut up?
So, if the guy at Boeing witnessed a bunch of shit wrong with the planes and then just let the plane go, you're just as much to blame as Boeing is, bro. Like, shouldn't you have raised a flag somewhere?
Well, maybe he did tell somebody, and they just didn't do anything, and that's why he became a whistleblower.
I would have hit the social media and everything, man. That's such a shitty thing to have built wrong. An airplane, of all things.
But you just can't go to social though, because it's a corporation. So then he probably would have lost his job. Or
cowardice is an excuse. It's a viable excuse now. My job was more important than people's lives. I got to take care of my family. Put yourself in that position. It's really hard to say, I got a good job and I'm just going to go get fired for. But, I think I probably would. I knowing me.
With a plane, I would have.
Or maybe he knew he would wind up dead. And guess what? He wound up dead.
Right, yeah.
Is that the same guy? Because they have more than one whistleblower, though. Right, because there's a woman whistleblower
found
as well.
Dead with a whistle shoved down his throat.
But that's John. That's that John guy. John something.
John
Gotti.
John.
Yeah, that's it. John Gotti.
We get Detective Shembri on the case immediately.
Yes. We get it solved immediately.
And whenever you're ready, I have a 38-second trailer for a new show that I'm producing.
We'll do that in
AI.
In 1 second. Actually, before we meet our next guest, I'll want to do that. But just want to comment on the irony of Germany being accused of helping the Jews commit genocide. Is that just over everybody's head? The blatant irony.
To me, it just makes sense. If the Jews want to commit genocide, who better for them to turn to for help?
Right.
They know who does it best.
Right. We know you guys are good at this.
That's absolutely a valid point, that you go to people who know what they're doing. It's just, if you went to the Jewish people who were fleeing Germany in the late 1940s or even the 30s and said, you know what, this is a headline from 2024. Tell me what you think about it. Germany helping Israel, which didn't really exist then, to commit genocide. I think they would say, "What fucking drugs are you on, dude?"
I am proud of the fact that Israel was grown up enough to put the past behind them so that they could work with them on this project.
Well, the old adage, if you can't beat them, join them, really plays big here.
A little Jewish nation is all grown up now.
They got big friends that do big things, and you know what? They want to leave. They want to leave an impression.
They put on their big boy yarmulkes and they stepped up, to the plate.
All right, just for now, we're gonna get a little
Black
teaser into Ron's new what is this? A sitcom? Is it a show? But to anybody who's in Gaza right now and you happen to be listening to the program, I just want to say, enjoy the suffering.
I do want to mention one thing. Ron told me this yesterday. There were no Israelis or Germans harmed in the making of this promotion.
No, but plenty of guys and Palestinians.
Plenty of Palestinians, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I just go.
They were injured like crazy.
I'm just going with the disclaimer he told me. I don't know about anybody
carpet
else.
bomb those mothers. I'm sorry. I should not make fun of people suffering and dying, but that's what we're.
That's the show. Enjoy the suffering.
Right, Ron, take it away.
So I got approached by Netflix. They're like, Ron, we have this show. Is it cake? But we need to amp it up a little bit. So I was like, you know what? I can do that for you. So let me show you. Where is it? Somewhere here. Here we go. And this show is called I Hope It's Cake.
Oh, nice little Netflix opening there.
Ah, damn it. This fucking YouTube. I hate it so much.
Why don't you play it locally? Don't you just download them and have them on your desktop or no?
No, I got them on my phone. Here we go.
Welcome to I Hope It's Cake, where bakers from around the world compete using their most prized recipes, all while facing a twist like no other. Hosted by Reginald Slothhead, the competition takes a dangerous turn as some cakes are infused with old munitions. With a lottery system selecting 5 audience members to cut into the cakes, the tension and anticipation are palpable. Will the cake explode or will it be safe? Gather your family around the TV and enjoy the thrilling and unpredictable I Hope It's Cake.
That's it.
Hope it's cake.
Munitions?
Yep.
Steven, remind me later to reach out to Reginald Slothhead and see if we can get him on the show. That would be great. Now, we have our next
Slothhead. I thought it was Slothhead. Is it Slothhead?
Sloth.
It's Slothhead.
Is it Slothhead or Slothhead?
It's Norwegian by origin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, why are you taking get out of my spot?
I didn't take
Jump
your
into
spot.
my
You gave
spot.
it up.
You want to introduce Blast Zone Mike? I'm sorry, my glasses are a little fogged up.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, the next gentleman is our next guest is Michael Blast Zone Wilkerson. He is from Kentucky. He is the head of A&R of FireRockMusicGroup.com. Well, actually, that's their website. FireRockMusicGroup.com. Unleash your inner rock god. FireRockMusic.com. Fuck. So, Blast Zone Mike. I've known him for about 4 years or so. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm used to that. And his claim to fame is that he is married to Hope.
Wow. Good morning, Blast Zone Mike, and thank you for being here. That was a lovely introduction, GD. I don't know what the fuck you just said.
Neither do I. I'm terrible at it. Ron says I'm the worst introduction maker in the world.
Yeah.
The thing about it is you get GD to talk. When he was doing a show with me, we barely could get 2 squeaks out of him.
Well, basically, he says that's your fault that you start talking and then don't leave space for anybody else. Which
no,
is
that's not what I said. I said he won't shut the fuck up.
That's right. That's right. Well, and we appreciate that. And listen, it makes my job easier if I just ask you one question and you just filibuster for a while. We can all take a break and go get a sandwich or something. What is it exactly that what is your thing? You're with your A&R of what is it? Fire or something music or
Fire Rock Music Group. So
right,
what
fire up.
happened? I'll tell you what happened. So I'm usually the one getting interviewed. I've interviewed over 1,000 plus people over the last forever, and I was asked by a publicist named Michael Bramwell to interview this band called Held Hostage. And at first, I was told I was going to get Ripper Owens. If you all know Ripper Owens, I don't know. He was the lead singer of Judas Priest, and the movie Rockstar was wrote about him loosely. He said, "Well, you're going to get to talk to Ripper." Well, Ripper decided he didn't want to do interviews in the middle of all this, so I get this guy named Tom Collier. I'm like, okay, sure, I'm doing it for him because I'm hoping he's going to get me tickets to something else. It's how publicity works. You do something for them, they do something for you. Anyway, so make a long story short, I interviewed Tom. We become really, really good friends, and he became the president of the company. And I was just bullshitting with him one day. I said, "Hey, if you need help, let me know." And he said, "You want to work for me?" I said, "Yeah, I'll work for you." And he sent me a contract, and now I think that was in July. I've signed 11 bands. One of them came out last Friday called Atomic Kings that features the bass player of Badlands and Red Dragon Cartel. It's his band. It's out in everywhere you can go to order it, everywhere you can go to, download it, all that. But it's called Atomic Kings. It's out. And I've got like 10 other bands in the process,
Wow.
So I'm always looking for bands. We signed a country artist, and his single came out like 3 weeks ago. We just put out on. No, I wish it was. I'd be rich. If it's Beyonce, we'd all be rich.
It looks like you're traveling in a private jet there. You're not rich?
No, my family's inside the hotel because I just had a grandbaby a month ago. So thank you. I live in Kentucky and they live in Missouri, and they're all asleep. So because it's only 9:00 here, so I came out to the car where they didn't hear me mumble and jumble on like GG says I do.
All right, it looks like a private jet. So now this is your first country artist. What country?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know much about the guy because it wasn't my project, but I know that we're actively looking for new country artists, and we're looking for a lot of things, I don't want to give a lot away, but
I hate to interrupt you, but because I've known you for so long, I feel like I can. Actually, I interrupt anybody anyway. It doesn't matter how long I've known them. But when you said you're looking for new country, just so you know, Jean-Luc Ponty already had that album, New Country, and that was like in the late 70s, early 80s. So you have to find another name. And Big Country is also taken.
Big Country.
Oh,
in a
yeah.
big country.
Yeah. I remember that song. Yeah.
You can't copyright a title or any of that kind of stuff. So
yeah, you can't.
Disregard everything he just said and just concentrate on the fact that he wants to know if they killed the right babies.
I was just about to say the same thing.
That's what killed personally, that's what killed the music that I listened to, glam. Because when you walked into when you're a young kid, and I know some of you might not be my age, but when you're a young kid and you walk in the store and you see these big ass records or cassettes and you go, the hell am I going to listen to? What's the best looking girl on the CD? It's always something, So
yeah. What about the music industry right now? Because are people actually making money off of recorded music? I mean, sustainable, you can live off it.
Well, what we are is a label. We're fully encompassing everything. Well, we work radio, we work publicity, we work booking, all that. And we tell artists that we're not going to make you rich. You're going to have to make yourself rich, because if you don't go out and you play, if you don't answer those emails, if you don't answer those things that fans want to hear, you're not going to sell nothing in this day and time. But I mean, in the same token, as we're major labels are going away from physical media, we're going straight for physical media. Like my artists are going to have vinyl, they're going to have CD, and I think 2 or 3 even going to do cassettes. So I mean, media in a sense is still a thing. But if you think you're going to be a band and you're going to get on Spotify and you're going to make money, just ask Weird Al how much he made in a year. Yeah. And he said thousands of downloads. So I mean, we're just a vehicle to help the band get more success than what they already have. I have one artist, his name is Nick, and his band's called NZM, and he's actually the lead singer and the keyboardist for Yngwie Malmsteen, and his album 16 came out, and I signed it. So I mean,
I'm surprised. I didn't even know Yngwie ever had any vocals on his stuff. It's been so long. But you're bringing up like you might as well be talking about Abe Lincoln.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you know Yngwie, you know Yngwie. You know, he's a great guitar player. You know, the show's about him being a guitar player. And Nick is his keyboard player. And Nick's in that genre of thrash keyboard, meaning that he plays a keyboard like a guitar. So him and Yngwie go hand in hand because of the music that they do. They're fixing to leave right now. I think next week they're leaving to Asia, and they're doing a tour of Japan, and then they're doing a tour of Australia. So he's going to be gone for like 3 weeks with Yngwie. So we're trying to get his record figured out, that way it can be pressed and get in the thing to be able to be distributed. I mean, so lots of stuff, man. Me and GD connected again. I guess it was about, what was it, GD, 2 weeks ago?
I don't know. I was on the toilet. I had to check what crossword puzzle I was working on. I hope that you knew that the eclipse was an eclipse, and it didn't mean that every town in America was going to have eclipse in it, meaning the car.
Well, you've known GT longer than I have, but I should just don't ever ask him a question unless you want a ridiculous answer.
I know, man. The other day we were talking, and I told him I was going down the road, and he's like, "Well, you just need to pull over. You need to see this now." And I'm like, "I can't pull over." And he's like, and then he's just like that. He's a great comedian. If y'all don't know him as a comedian, you all need to check him out.
He doesn't like to be called that. But
I'm a humorist, and the fact that you said I had a ridiculous answer. First of all, that implies that the first answer was ridiculous, and I did it again. I don't ridiculous. I just ridiculous.
Okay. Gotcha. I think I said ridiculous, not ridiculous, but I might
ridiculous.
The Brooklyn accent. It might sound ridiculous. So, just want to comment on what you said. Somebody with thousands and thousands of downloads. Last night on my, I was ready to celebrate because my evening show passed 12 million downloads, and I was like excited about that until I realized that Joe Rogan does that every single day. So thousands of downloads is really pennies. I know this for a fact. Cause I think Willie had 1.8 million on one of his songs on Spotify. It ended up being $20, less than $20, like $18 or something. So the Spotify model is killing it for recorded music. Like bands are really only making money off of selling physical merchandise at the show, whether that's recorded music on a CD or whatever, if people are still buying those t-shirts and all that stuff, and then their gig money. They're not really making money in the recorded music part of it. Yes or no?
Yeah, well, they do when they, if you take off, you do. I mean, say, for instance, band Zero Kings on my shirt, okay? If you say their next album takes off, and then you got a single on Octane, and their videos being played on YouTube continuously, a fan is going to go back and they're going to want that product. Like my boss, his band held hostage. He released his last album, and it sold so many copies that fans were like wanting the old one. So now the old one is selling just as good as the new one on CD. You know, I mean, America, it's hard to talk about America when it comes to music. I mean, it's like one minute it's Miley Cyrus, but the next minute it could be Metallica. You know, you just really don't know. Whereas you got countries like Europe and Japan and Brazil and places like that just love music. They don't care who it is. They just want to listen to it. So
in the late 90s and early 2000s, I was doing a country western character show, Hank Porter and the Lonesome Cowboys, and they had a Napster, Asian version of Napster in Japan and China. It was called Bading or something like that, and we did like 7 million downloads in 6 months in those countries of Hank Porter and the Lonesome Cowboys. So I was big in Japan, but nobody knew me here.
That's a song also, Big in Japan.
Big in Japan.
Yeah.
Well, you know the guy who played Michael Knight, what's his name? David.
Yeah, the hamburger eating guy. Yeah, how about something?
Yeah. Anyway, you know he had I think 2 or 3 platinum albums in Europe, and nobody in America even knew he was playing music. You know,
Knight Rider.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
and
so
then
that's how it goes.
he had that weird thing where he was drunk on the floor eating hamburgers or something.
I've never seen that, but
went viral.
That's gotta be hilarious. After I get off here, I'm going to YouTube that shit. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Now, do you guys pay when you sign a band to your label? You mentioned marketing and distribution and all that stuff. Do you pay production costs, or the band's producing their work on their own, like all the studio costs and all that kind of stuff, and come to you with a finished product?
It's on a band by band situation. It's like if you go, say you're working, okay, and this kid comes in. Yeah, and this kid comes in, and he gets a job, but he gets paid more than you. So you can't really talk about you can't talk about those prices, or it's always been said, don't go to your job and tell people how much you make, because you might make more than them. So it's one of those things. Everything's on a case by case thing.
Yeah, I murder anybody who makes more than me. I see to it that they get whacked immediately.
In fact, you're all on the list. So
yeah. So yeah, now do you? Because most labels, and you mentioned that you just got a country, most labels are very genre specific. At least today it's become more that way, where labels want to sign either, metal, country, whatever it is, they're genre specific. You're open to any genre?
Yeah, for the most part, but I mean, that's not necessarily true, what you said. You got labels like Metal Blade Records, but Metal Blades back in the day found the Goo Goo Dolls. And the Goo Goo Dolls are totally different than anything Metal Blade did. So I mean, if you're like a major player, like, in the music industry, like genres, but different varieties of genre, that's cool. But then most country acts are on country ad labels in Nashville. But I know the first act that was signed to Justin Timberlake's label, and he was a country act. So I mean, it's all one of those things. If you hear with music, it's like if you hear something and you think to yourself, oh man, that could be good, Like my first band I signed was called the Devil Dolls. They're from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they're a mix between Marilyn Manson, Kiss, Alice Cooper, and probably Wednesday 13. It's like spooky type music, They've got a song called Terrifier that's about the Terrifier movie, So, but then my next act that I signed was totally different than that. It was a girl named Jessica from San Antonio, Texas, who has a band called Jessica, and she's more like a female version of Ronnie James Dio, And then band, is a band from Memphis called the Fast Mothers, and then we're like the Black Crows. So I mean, it's all in what you hear and what you think could be something. So that's how we're approaching everything with this label.
Very the music world is really it's changed so much in my lifetime, where back when I was a kid they were handing out basically record deals to anybody who could put together a demo tape, and basically they just throw shit at the fan and see what sticks. Now, Steven, are you familiar with the Devil Dogs, Fort Wayne, Indiana?
I am not, but to be fair, I don't catch much local music. A lot of it happens to be going on around the same time the comedy stuff's going on. So
Right. Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar, but I will probably Google them after this.
Yeah. Now these when are people just submitting to you, or like they send in down? What do? They send in an send you an MP3 press.
Some bands do, that's what happened when I signed Cranberry Suit out of Phoenix, Arizona. They had seen we had signed Atomic Kings that are from Arizona, and that's how we found them. But a lot of it is me, people I've known in the past, people that know me because I've done interviews forever, and I did a Facebook Live show for 3 years straight, every day doing a live show. People know me from that. I mean, it's a lot of everything, like we're a new company, so everything's trying to be done in-house, with me and Tom Collier's my boss. And, we're doing really well. I mean, it's amazing that, I always tell myself it's amazing I'm 52 years old and I'm finally doing what I was meant to do, or, what I feel I was put on this earth to do, is to help artists try to seek their dream, or help artists who had that dream, got that dream, and then that dream was took away from them. Because we know there's a lot of that.
Yeah, dreams can easily turn to nightmares, without a doubt.
But my point I was trying to get to a point there. You were talking about record labels. See, back in the day, and I have a friend that's in a band called Buffalo. He's 70s from Australia. He had a band he did 5 albums with. To this day, the only time he made any money off of anything is when I helped him put together a project, and he sold albums. But he made a master deal. In the industry right now, really big things are master deals and 360 deals. And master deals means you can't ever have anything to do with your music after they own it, and they own it, and they held all kinds of music hostage over the years, and bands had to re-record. Whereas a 360 deal means that they own everything. They own your merchandise, they own your CD, they own your publishing, they own everything about you. They own, and they make more money than you. And a lot of bands get caught in those things, and they see no way out. And they do their albums they're done, and then they're an indie band again. So there's a lot of bands like that, are artists that were in bands who have new bands. So there's a lot that goes on. And on top of that, I'm trying to work on some other things that I won't talk about right now because they're not done yet. But some other things that are totally different. And I am on a TV show too. It's coming out called Midas Cove. And
now, TV show, where is that? Is that on network television? What are you talking about?
It's a brand new show. It's a brand new show. It's called Midas Cove. It's being shot here in Kentucky. And Ben, the guy who wrote, and he's the main character in it, he's shooting it, and then we're going to try to get it on one of those things. The thing about that now is any comedian, who can get distribution, anybody that can get distribution, are going on a TV show like that. Everybody's got a camera. You can shoot yourself,
right,
but not shoot yourself. I don't want to say that because I know GD's got something to say. But anyway, if you shoot with your phone, you can make a movie. You can make anything with your phone nowadays. And Tubi, Netflix, all these places are starving for content. So right now is the best time in the world to make content because you can get it sold. Me and GD were
but your
talking about that the other day.
is it local? Is it on streaming networks? Where is it aired?
It's being made right now. It's being shot. It's being all that kind of stuff right now. It probably won't be done until next year at this point, but it's being shot right now. I know that
so you haven't sold it to a distributor yet, like
no.
Hulu okay.
No, but I mean, that's the possibilities these days.
I have a tip for bands that want to be seen by Mike. I have his address, and for $20, I'll give it to you, and you can actually perform on his front lawn while he's trying to eat dinner, and that way he'll see you. And
not if he's trying to eat dinner, he won't see you. He'll see the food in front of him, and it'll be.
Well, you wait till he's done. As soon as he's done, it's like
so you wait till he's done eating.
Right, and after he comes out the bathroom, because he likes to go to the bathroom right after he eats.
Are you sure he killed the right kids before he ate dinner? I'm sorry, I'm never going to let that go.
For $20, I'll give you his address. So send it.
I thought he was going to offer a list of kids for $20. I was like, whoa. Calm down, GD.
Whoa, what kind of show am I on? Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
you know me, Mike. You know I don't have any boundaries.
Well, I want to go where how he knows you in a second. But Rappler has a question: who did War Pigs better, Ozzy or Ronnie? I did not know Ronnie Dio did War Pigs at all.
Ozzy.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. You know that song was redone again, right?
No.
It was done by what's his name? R&B rap guy that was he won the Masked Singer one year. I can't think of his name, but Ozzy said that was the best version of War Pigs he ever heard.
I didn't even know.
Was it Post Malone?
No, not Post Malone. He's got one name.
T-Pain.
T-Pain, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
He did.
Damn, the knowledge
that was pretty good,
show.
actually. That one was pretty good too.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Amazing.
You know what? I do have a
it's
vague
a
memory
cover.
of that one. So
it's a solid cover.
T-Pain is like one of those like cross genre guys that can just do anything with music and it always sounds good. It's ridiculous.
I agree.
Totally dude's a freak.
And that album was only released on digital and vinyl. It was never released on CD at all.
Wow.
So you could only get on a gold vinyl or you could get it on digital. That's it.
Once you go vinyl, you never go vinyl. We have to say goodbye to Governor's Comedy